Okay, previously on Atop the Fourth Wall.
My God, it was you all along.
Yes, I hijacked all the nuclear weapons of the world, and now I have them at my disposal.
Why? Why did you do it?
Oh, I'm just a bum who wants to take over the world.
You know, that's not a everyday occurrence.
What?
Damn you, Phantasm! We just had a previously on segment a few weeks ago! Why are we doing another one?
Well, you say, just a bum who wants to take over the world. It's not like, hey, that's just a paperboy, there's a ton of those. It's like, no, that's very, very rare.
What do you mean?
Like, hey, I'm a psychotic transvestite who likes to rub my feet in butter, just one of those. I've seen like
totally
a million of
uncommon.
those walking down the street.
Kind of the idea actually was that it was,
people and likes to rub his feet in butter.
I don't know if you know exactly what that is, but straightforward to you. Oh, shut up and look at this!
Countdown is danger and disease wrapped in darkness and silence.
He's coming for you, Linkara. He's coming for you!
What's that?
This is the remote control that will let me blow up any missile in the world.
You're mad.
Am I?
Yes! Very mad!
I've been sitting here for hours. Why the hell isn't anyone giving me my paycheck? I got dames to smooch.
Equilibrium is brilliant, and Fima is God!
My God. Film Brian, they've gotten to you!
Hey, it's Film Brain.
Perhaps it is you who are mad.
No, it's definitely you.
You know what? You're just rude.
It's like, hey, here's the same people. And
I just can't believe how annoying you are. You just keep talking and talking and talking. And I keep thinking you're going to say something not so pleasant. Contribute something to society.
Guy will go into.
You're not taking over my show, Continuity Alarm. You just stay back! Stay back!
The future? It's horrible, Linkara. Everybody went to see the Youngblood movie, and we all got the disease.
What do you think of Hollywood?
Hollywood? Well, that's where all the great movies are made.
Well, how would you feel if it just disappeared? No! And tell me, what do you think about Rome?
Rome? It's the birthplace of culture!
Not anymore! And tell me, what do you think of France?
It's okay.
Gone!
And now, the conclusion. I play all the Las Vegas ones with this as the thanks I get for it.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a pretty hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
So, where were we? Oh, right. The chimera of crappy comics that is Countdown. I love alliteration. Now, I may have misrepresented this book a little in last week's episode, and given the impression that the storylines move much quicker than they do. The fact is, they don't. For the sake of your collective sanities, I summarized each plot line into its own section. In the actual book, it wasn't like that. If you were lucky, you'd get maybe 3 pages of one plotline and maybe one more plotline taking focus, but they usually touched on most of the plots in each issue. That means we'd get stupid crap like the Karate Kid parts that don't in any way flow in a narrative fashion from one issue to the next. And interspersed with that are lots of scenes of the monitors bitching to each other about doing something. Now get this, we're halfway through the series and we know nothing. We know a great disaster is coming. We know Granny Goodness is trying to create new female Furies. We know Mary Marvel is an idiot and evil now. We know the Trickster is homophobic. We know Jimmy Olsen has powers, but we don't know why. We know Karate Kid has a disease. And we know Darkseid likes to play with toys. But we know nothing of how any of this is tied together or even why we should care. Issue 26 is told almost entirely as exposition from the monitors, recapping the events of the past 25 issues. So let me get this straight. We're halfway through the entire series, so why don't we just stop the entire plot to review the information that anyone who's actually been reading the book already knows? Apparently, the idea was that issue 26 was a jumping-on issue, that since the book was officially being retitled Countdown to Final Crisis, they'd suddenly have a huge influx of people who'd want to start reading it. But I really don't understand why. People still knew it was Countdown, and by this point the thing had been critically panned and attacked for its bad art, bad continuity, and its abysmal pace. People knew it sucked. Giving it a new name and a bunch of plot exposition wasn't going to help. Yes, I agree with Stan Lee. Every comic is someone's first, but I would feel really sorry for the poor comic newbie who picked this thing up and expected an action-filled adventure, but just got more, we should do something! Should we do something? Now, people have told me that the second half of Countdown is actually where the book improved, and in a way they're correct. The book dropped its obsession with idiotic tie-ins and pointless miniseries and actually started focusing in on its story. The problem is that the story still sucked. We don't know what anything has to do with anything. And frankly, none of these characters are all that likable, except for really Harley Quinn and Holly Robinson, but their story arc is, in the end, completely inconsequential to the overall plot. So yes, the book got 1,000 times better, but 1,000 times 0 is still 0! Okay, rant over. So, because it was so entertaining in the first half of the series, we have an entire issue where the monitors are talking to each other! Oh, and get this, there are only supposed to be 52 parallel universes, 1 monitor for each, but if you actually sit and count the visible monitors here, there are well over 70! So, again, we see that the creative team has thrown up its hands and declared, screw it, I don't care. This issue also tries to explain why traveling between parallel universes is bad, but we see no evidence to support this supposition, so I can't tell if Solomon is lying or if it's just lazy writing. During this, we cut back to the recurring storylines. Karate Kid's ensemble meets up with the superhero Firestorm. Why was he in Bloodhaven? The script said so. The group realizes there's something underneath the ruined city and they start digging. Forager, for no reason whatsoever, brings Jimmy Olsen to Apocalypse. My guess is she never intended to bring him in on the murder investigation, she just wanted to punish him for that stupid Mr. Action costume. When we last left Bob's group, Jason Todd had apparently switched sides and shot Donna with Bob's gun. Bob then suddenly teleports the entire group away. In the wake of all this, the monitors decide that they will actually do something, and they will wage war!
United as one! United as one!
For united we stand, divided we fall.
United as one! United as one!
So say we all!
So say we all!
So say we all!
So say we all!
So, Bob's group rematerializes in a desert. Ah, an arid wasteland without life that drains your strength. What a fitting description of Countdown. It's revealed that Donna isn't dead, and she kindly punches Jason Todd, once for shooting her, and another for being a jerk all the time. You know, if there were more scenes of Jason Todd getting hit like that, Countdown wouldn't be as universally derided. Bob explains that apparently his species can read body language or some bullcrap like that, so we knew that Jason shooting her was really just a ruse to distract their enemies so they could escape. Donna, however, was not in on the plan. Sure, I'm alive now, but it hurt like hell when Todd shot me. Todd? Anti-life justifies my hate. Anti-life so justifies my hate. Just to compound such a witty, well-crafted insult like that, we have Kyle saying, "Ha! Good one, Don!" But do you know what the worst part is? I just know there's gonna be like 100 of you people leaving comments like, "This comic is retarded," and you'll never let me forget that line. Ever. We suddenly cut back to the Earth we saw last time. You know, the one that had the counterparts of Bob's group, but they were all nice and happy and stuff. Well, prepare for hope and joy to be summarily crushed. This universe's Lex Luthor is murdered by a mysterious being wearing Superman's outfit, but it's all black and silver. Wow, this is actually pretty suspenseful. I mean, holy crap, there's some evil Superman in a black outfit. Oh, this is gonna be badass, a real villain at last. This is gonna be sweet. This is gonna be... Everything was better on my Earth. It's Superboy Prime. Damn it! Yeah, with no explanation given, Superboy Prime, you know, that whiny idiot I mentioned back in my top 15 worst heroes becoming villains, is suddenly an adult and is somehow able to travel from universe to universe killing people. So yeah, not content with failing to explain its own idiotic plot points, Countdown has decided to bring in an unpopular villain to run around and kill people, and we directly see him vaporize a pregnant woman. My god, it's like the worst parts of the 90s all over again! Dude, Wait. Did you just vaporize a pregnant chick? Dude, that's not cool, man. That's not cool. As if that bloodbath wasn't enough, the asshole actually annihilates the alternate Earth. But I guess they really had to kill them off. After all, they look to be much more interesting than the heroes of Countdown. I mean, their Superman had a beard and everything! By the way, you may have noticed that Superboy Prime doesn't exactly look like a boy here. Well, the thing is, DC was having some legal trouble at the time over the rights of the name and concept of Superboy, so they decided to make him Superman Prime and artificially age him thanks to the power of the multiverse. But I hate that prick more than words can describe, so don't expect me to buy into their nonsense. So Super Bitch Prime spends an entire issue torturing recurring Superman villain Mixus Spitlick. We also get to hear more of his charming narration. I bet I look totally cool. I'm only 19, but I look grown up. I'm so big. I tried to find a better Earth to replace it, but they were so mean. They beat me up. And this issue is such a delight. I'm just so glad we got to see a goofy, fifth-dimensional imp get to vomit in this story. That's what we need to see more of in comics. Silly characters throwing up because a crappy character is torturing them. Meanwhile, Bob's group continues to hunt through different parallel universes. In this universe, there's... Wait, Batman Beyond? Oh no, Batman Beyond is cool! Don't drag Batman Beyond into this garbage! Wait, I take that back. Whatever's happening with Batman Beyond is 100 times more interesting than this. I want to see that instead! They finally locate Ray Palmer on Earth 51, which is apparently an even more perfect Earth with no crime, war, poverty, disease, etc., etc. Ray is living a happy life on this Earth, married and content with his existence. So, of course, here comes Bob's group to totally screw it up for him. On Christmas Eve, no less. He explains that he learned about the multiverse and traveled to this world to find some comfort and solace. However, this world's Ray Palmer died in an accident right in front of him. So, with the aid of dramatic convenience, Ray decided to take his place as this universe's Ray Palmer. The Monitor explains that that's why they've come for him. However, he suddenly declares that he's going to kill Ray Palmer! Wait, what? Yes, apparently this entire mission was just a plot to kill Ray Palmer, even though that doesn't make any goddamn sense! That was pointless and annoying. You're telling me! It turns out that Solomon and Bob were working together the whole time. Essentially, Bob was going to lead Solomon to Ray Palmer because he's the key. The key to what? And then they would merge together since the Monitors were never meant to be separate entities. When the hell did these two reach this agreement? If they're really on the same side, why the hell was Solomon always so determined to hunt down Bob? What the hell was with all that "the monitors are going to war" BS? Is this heel turn surprising? Oh, hell yes! Does it make a lick of sense? Oh, hell no! However, it seems their little plan to merge together failed since they've evolved, yeah, evolution does not work that way, into such different beings. In fact, murdering Dwella Dent had nothing at all to do with anything but to start this whole friggin' plan. Oh, but it gets better, because now Monarch arrives with his army to fight the Monitors, and subsequently starts slaughtering all the heroes of this Earth, who became passive after they pretty much made this world perfect. Ray explains to the others that it was actually this Earth's Ray Palmer who was supposed to prevent the Great Disaster, though, again, still no explanation of what the hell that is. Jason gets picked up by this universe's Batman, a crazed lunatic who uses guns. Gee, where have we heard that before? Could this be character development? Well, after 30 plus issues in, no one's left around to care. Batman gives him a new costume, calling him Red Robin. Yeah, that's not redundant or anything. And yes, I know what it's a reference to. That just makes it all the more idiotic. Superboy Prime somehow ends up on the Monitor satellite and demands to be taken to the perfect Earth. Forerunner shows up too, having deserted Monarch after her pointless miniseries. So after 35 issues, we finally get an explanation for why Ray Palmer was so friggin' important. It turns out that on this Earth, he was never sick a day in his life. There was some sort of genetic anomaly that made him immune to all disease. The Justice League of this Earth discovered a sentient germ called Mortococcus. When that Ray Palmer realized that with a multiverse there could be others like it in other universes, he went to work trying to give each universe at least one person with the same kind of immunity as him. Okay, I'll give him credit. The idea of a sentient virus is pretty cool. Hell, it could have been the basis for its own great story somewhere else! Or maybe not. Superboy Prima Donna learns that the perfect Earth that he was searching for is in fact the one that's being destroyed. He flies off to fight Monarch, all the while screaming in his standard tone about, "They're ruining everything!" Oh, but we have the crowning quote of this entire series right now. "I'll kill you! I'll kill you to death!" And how fitting that the title of this issue is Abandon All Hope. Anyway, the fight continues on. "You were only a boy pretending to be a man." "No! I am a man! A man! I am a man!" No. No! No way in hell am I dignifying my joke in relation to him! There is no definition of man that includes whiny half-wit murderer! All of a sudden, the remainders of Bob's group get a message telling them to go to Apocalypse. A Monitor helps to transport them there while stupid bitch Pansy ruptures Monarch's armor, apparently killing him and utterly destroying this entire universe. The worst part about that is that Superboy Prime actually survives that and ends up in another book. Back to the Karate Kid plotline. Karate Kid's health is starting to decline, but somehow he knows there's a bunker underneath Bloodhaven. But don't worry, this bunker isn't actually in any way important to the story, just a kind of reference to something that'll happen later. Inside the bunker, they find Firestorm supporting character Professor Stein being tormented by Desaad, one of Darkseid's servants. He's been kidnapped to lure Firestorm out, and Desaad takes control of Firestorm's powers. After a brief fight, they manage to get Desaad away from the powers, and he starts to escape to Apocalypse. Wow, completely pointless sequences. That's what people read comic books for. When the group tries to get deeper into the bunker, supercomputer Brother Eye suddenly activates and... I don't know, I guess it can float and become the Death Star now. Oh, and there are giant hypodermic needles sticking out of it. Sure, why not? We also get a genuinely heartwarming scene where we learn why Triplicate Girl stayed with Karate Kid in the past. That she's in love with him, but he's already got a girlfriend back in the 31st century. That she cares about him. It's a well-written, tug-at-your-heartstrings moment. You can understand, then, why they decided to just forget about it and move on to the next ridiculous plot point, with Brother Eye reaching its mechanical tendrils into Bloodhaven. Oh, Countdown, I admire your ability to take anything that has any emotional or narrative value and just crumple it up and toss it in the trash. Brother Eye manages to absorb materials that Desaad had left behind, giving it access to the technology of the new gods. He uses the technology to travel to Apocalypse, along with Karate Kid, Firestorm, and Triplicate Girl. Over to Trickster and Piper, who are doing the same things they were doing in the last half of the series, running away from the Suicide Squad, and Trickster insulting Pied Piper for being gay. Eventually, Trickster gets shot through the head. DC Comics, we've got more blood and violence than the Saw movies! Upon Trickster's death, the handcuffs suddenly announce that since one of them is dead, it's going to begin a 24-hour countdown to detonation. Why 24 hours and not just right away? Is this supposed to be the next plot to 24? Using his electronic flute, Piper is able to slow the timer down to buy him some more time. He heads off into the desert with Trickster's body, which he continues to talk to. Oh, and since they're out in the desert with no water, Piper starts to hallucinate that the body is talking to him. And what does he have to say? Why, more gay jokes. Even in death, Trickster remains a total asshat. Thankfully, Piper cuts off the Trickster's hand so he doesn't have to keep dragging the body around. Hopefully that will shut him up. Several issues later, Piper suddenly gets teleported to Apocalypse. So also, Jimmy Olsen is still on Apocalypse and has been enslaved by Darkseid's forces. When Jimmy becomes threatened by one of the overslavers, however, Darkseid personally zaps the guy out of existence. But then plot lines actually start to converge a bit, as Eclipso brings Mary Marvel to Darkseid. May she serve you well. Yeah, Mary Marvel is 16, so that statement plus the short skirt don't exactly inspire confidence in this storyline. Darkseid explains to Mary that he wants a magic user on his side, but Mary's not having any of it. She fights Darkseid for a bit and then flies off, Eclipso swearing to bring her back. By the way, why is Eclipso serving Darkseid? Oh yeah, that's explained in a pointless miniseries, forget I asked. Eclipso convinces Mary that she should give the job a chance, citing the fact that pretty much everyone else she's encountered has been uncharacteristically dickish to her for no adequately explained reason. However, because this is Countdown, the next issue suddenly has them fighting again, and Mary rejecting her all over again. Oh, and we also get to see lots of upskirt shots of Mary Marvel. Yes, upskirt shots of the underage girl. What is this, arcade gamer Fubuki?
Passion panties, lend me your strength!
Return with me. Do proper penance for your actions. We can rule Apocalypse and then all of creation!
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen manages to escape from the slave pits and finds Forager chained to a slab. He takes off her helmet and proclaims, "Thank God she's still alive, and weirdly gorgeous." Look, I don't necessarily disagree about her attractiveness, but it's just weird hearing him say that about the bug woman with no nose and a second mask under her helmet that he's known for all of 5 minutes. Forager, apparently not taking kindly to being hit on, promptly grabs him by the throat and starts screaming, "Jimmy Olsen must die!" Hell, I've been saying that since the series started. Forager gets a hold of herself and Jimmy, using his powers, manages to transport the two back to Earth, where they start making out. Yes, thank you for this spontaneous romance between the two people that literally met an hour ago. Back with Mary Marvel, she and Eclipso fight their way down to Earth, blah blah blah. She regrets her actions, yeah, a little late for the guys who turned into statues, Mary, and she gives her power up to Eclipso and falls into the ocean, right outside of Themyscira. You may have noticed I haven't brought up the Holly Robinson plot yet. Well, I think at this point they realized that it barely qualified as tying into this whole cluster crap of a comic, and they just admitted that it was just an excuse to get attractive women in togas. Anyway, Holly and Harley continue to be trained on Themyscira. This is us, Holly, doing what we want to do instead of being defined by someone else. Yeah, we're doing what we want, which is to be ordered around by Athena's cronies. Wait, what? The two wander into a cave because Harley wants to go exploring in her usual chipper attitude. Isn't it nice to have a cheery, upbeat sequence after we just saw Trickster get a bullet through his brain? Anyway, the two find, of all people, Queen Hippolyta, and much to the collective shock of all readers, she's not crazy anymore. What kind of bizarro world is this? Hippolyta actually gets treated with more respect in this comic than she ever did in Amazon's Attack! Hippolyta joins forces with the two so they can take down the false Athena. Back to Jimmy Olsen, who lets Forager take a shower so the artist could put in some fan service. And I know I should be railing about sexism and feminism or something like that right now, but frankly, I'll take the bug boobs over the mass slaughter we were seeing earlier. Anyway, Forager explains that she thinks the souls of the new gods have, for some reason, made their way into Jimmy's body, and that is why he has superpowers. Yes, that's right. They slaughtered Jack Kirby's creations so that Jimmy Olsen could run around in a crappy costume and make out with bug ladies. So it turns out the two Amazons that found Mary were Holly and Harley, though where they got that dog is anyone's guess. Anywho, they bring her to Hippolyta, who continues to be awesome. Mary joins forces with them to bring the Fakeazons down. Jimmy gets a message in his mirror to also travel to Apocalypse. Ew, the source is pervy. Meanwhile, Solomon and Darkseid are together. Apparently they've been playing a game this whole time with the power of the multiverse at stake. Yeah, who gives a crap? Hippolyta and the other women, finally sick of all this, openly attack Granny Goodness. When Hippolyta cuts her face, she reveals herself and tries to escape Apocalypse. And, of course, Holly, Harley, and Mary pursue. Hippolyta wisely decides to not follow, lest she be forced to spend more time in Countdown. Okay, so with everyone finally on Apocalypse, all of the plots start coming together. So I'm going to try to summarize this since this is long since past the point where I stopped caring. Okay, Piper was brought to Apocalypse by Darkseid, who says that apparently the anti-life equation can be channeled through his music. Mary, Holly, and Harley discover the Greek gods and free them from their captivity. As thanks, they grant them superpowers, also restoring Mary's abilities. Brother Eye starts assimilating Apocalypse, and all of the various people finally get together. Oh, and it turns out that the Mortococcus virus, the one that's supposed to cause the Great Disaster, is in fact the reason why Karate Kid was sick. So after a series of convoluted events, Pied Piper finally uses his flute to blow up Apocalypse, supposedly killing himself. Well, so nice to know that Piper's storyline contributed nothing of any real value to the story. Well, it should come to no surprise at all that during all of this, Darkseid and Solomon have been playing with their action figures. Ray Palmer also listens in on them and learns that Darkseid plans to release the Mortococcus virus throughout the universe and kill everyone so he can remake everything, or some bullcrap like that. So begins the heroes and their great debate about whether to kill Karate Kid. It should come as no surprise to you that it really amounts to, we should do something, and should we do something? Solomon goes to the others and reveals that it was Darkseid who gave Jimmy Olsen the souls of the new gods, so he could then take them for himself. All of these revelations would have made for a much better story if they weren't all crammed in at the end. Solomon, to stop their bitching, promptly teleports them all back to Earth, but they soon discover that they're in fact not on their own Earth. Bum bum bum! The group travels to the secret scientific labs of Cadmus, hoping that the facilities there can help create an inoculation from Mortococcus. However, it's too late. Karate Kid dies. Mortococcus, because it was using the body of someone from the 31st century, has mutation abilities that this Earth can't keep track of, and it spreads quickly. To make matters worse, the thing absorbs DNA from all life forms it infects, so humans are mutating into animals, and animals are mutating into humans. Riots, full-scale nuclear war between countries blaming each other, and other atrocities soon follow. Matters are made worse when the Green Lantern of this universe tries to find help outside of the Earth, carrying the virus across the stars. My God, they've killed so many! Stop it, Countdown! Stop killing everyone! Second, the Great Disaster, the event we've been building up to through this entire moronic story, isn't even taking place on the main DC Earth? That makes even less sense! Who infected Karate Kid? If the thing mutates beyond Ray Palmer's immunity, which it does, what the hell was the point of finding him? How did Brother Eye know about it? And really, they destroyed several parallel Earths, and apparently this one's entire universe, just so they could create the Kamandi Planet of the Apes ripoff? Really? Countdown, you redefine what it means to fail. So here's the lowdown. Buddy Blank takes his grandson to the bunker in Bloodhaven to protect him from the plague. Triplicate Girl gets killed by rats. I'm not kidding here. The other heroes find a way to get back to their Earth, abandoning this one to its fate. But we're not even done yet. Yes, that's right. Only in Countdown would they slaughter this many people, enact stupid plot point after plot point, and not even be finished. The group separates, both to prevent the great disaster from happening on this Earth, as well as to just get on with their lives. But who should be waiting for Mary Marvel back in her apartment but Darkseid, sitting on her couch no less? Hello, Mary. You didn't think I would forget about you, did you? Have a seat. American Idol is on. In my home? How dare you! Darkseid dares all. No other being dares to sit on couches like Darkseid does. Darkseid offers Mary the powers of Black Adam again, but since she's undergone this long story arc of her realizing that evil powers are bad for her, she of course rejects him and punches him. Oh, wait, that's what should have happened. Instead, she becomes evil again, fully of her own volition. Just when I think it's over, Countdown finds some whole new way to suck! Mary goes after Jimmy Olsen and brings him to Darkseid. Donna and Kyle fill in the Justice League as best as they can, but even they're confused by this nightmare of a plot. Superman, however, arrives to help. You dare lay your hands on mighty Darkseid? You dare? I do dare, Darkseid, and after I've beaten you, I dare to sit on your couch! Ray Palmer manages to unlock Jimmy's powers, giving him full control over them to fight Darkseid as a giant turtle boy. I know, just go with it. Oh, but then Orion shows up! Yeah, he's Darkseid's son. It's a whole thing involving the new gods that makes for a much more interesting story than this. And it should come as no surprise that he hasn't made a single friggin' appearance in Countdown, except in that Death of the New Gods miniseries I mentioned last time. So they fight, they kill each other, and then finally, we reach the last issue. Really, it's just an epilogue to everything that's happened. Pied Piper suddenly appears back on Earth, too. I guess he's alive somehow. Whatever. So Donna, Kyle, and Forager decide that they're sick of godlike beings having control over their lives and have one question. Who monitors the monitors? Who monitors the monitors? Oh, sweet merciful crap! That's like something a 10-year-old writes when they're trying to sound clever! Oh, and it should come as no surprise to anyone that nothing ever comes of this. But yeah, supposedly they're gonna make sure the monitors play nice. How exactly they plan to enforce their little coup d'etat is never explained. Big shocker. And so this series ends with Holly Robinson and Harley Quinn looking up at a moon that looks far too huge for it to be real. You know, people wonder how I get through all these horrible comics without killing myself. But really, Harley explains it perfectly. A positive attitude and lots of denial? So after all of this, after 51 issues of Countdown to Final Crisis, what's there left to say? Only this. Countdown to Final Crisis blows. It reeks. It fails. It is heinous. It is mean-spirited, wretched, nonsensical, idiotic, irritating, slow, crappy, and altogether stupid. It is everything wrong with the comic book industry and an embarrassment on the records of everyone who worked on it. Bottom line, as we say around these parts, this comic sucks!
Save the world someday, but nobody comics that suck in this new. The Doctor is saying no, but for now the world will have to wait its turn, cause crappy comic books are waiting to be burned. Can you hear them call atop the fourth wall?
Dude, I just don't know, man. After something as awful as that, I just don't know how I can ever go back to being hardcore. What the? Rob Liefeld, man! Suddenly all is right with this most extreme universe! Hey, I'm 90s Kid, and what you see is what you get. I'm Hobby Fine Voice. Where the hell's my show?
He's coming for you, Linkara. Oh, yes. He's coming to get you. He's mean, too. He made me cut my hair. The bastard! I will have my revenge.
The disease. The disease. The disease!
So, it appears that all those people were overdrawn at the life bank.
Really? That's the most interesting line you could come up with? I mean,
Well, you know what? You're a douche face.
You're not
such a
even being
douche
very
face. I mean,
friendly.
you are
still
so
look like a
mean.
bum.
How can anyone be
still
so
all
mean? I
nuclear
mean, I
weapons
can
of the
nuclear
world. You couldn't get
weapons,
a
and
suit or
I'm not
something like
this
that. I mean,
mean.
this is
I at least
not
try
really a
to
suit,
show
but it's
some
halfway
hospitality
towards
to
a suit.
people.
At least
You know what?
trying.
I mean, you
I don't
just
know what
ruined
you're
this whole
doing.
scenario. Linkara's gonna hate this.
No, he'll like it. He'll like it a lot.
No, he's really gonna hate this. I mean, we were supposed to present a suitable
I think you
previous
make clear that
episode
you
sketch,
can't really
and you're
take
just running the
criticism.
whole
I mean,
thing.
you have hijacked
You know
all
what?
the
You know what? There went Pluto.
So nobody cared. It was Pluto.
It's a planet, man. You're not
Nobody
gonna
gives a
miss
shit about Pluto. I mean, thank God you got rid of Pluto. I mean, now there's gonna be no one around to make Planet Disney dog jokes.
Now people think
You
it's a
know,
moon, but you know what?
Mickey's
It could be
dog?
pretty
Oh,
cool.
never heard of
It's
that
Pluto.
one. You
It's
must
Pluto.
be a
It's
genius
a
for thinking
freaking
that.
planet.
Oh my God, Pluto! You're right, because they sound exactly alike. Isn't that
You know what?
crazy?
I'm just gonna blow up the world.
Thank you.
Asshole.